Hello YouTube, and welcome back to episode 10 of my Let's Play Factorio series. As you can see in between the episodes, I worked a bit more on my defensive wall for my main base, which is surrounding the entire base. It's this wall here on the edge, and it's almost completed. The only part missing, the only segment that's missing, is here close to the old base, which I still need to remove and clean up. But other than that, it's operational and it's actually handling the situation quite well. So what I did is, if I show you the logistics network, you can actually see that my wall is segmented in several logistic network, and that is because I didn't want to have one logistics network for the entire wall. Otherwise it could have lagged out the game a bit. So we have three parts: the corner parts and the mid section on each side. And each part has its dedicated supply train, which is basically the same train that we use for the outpost supply trains, and it's simply supplying the logistic network with repair packs. Now, another thing that you guys might have noticed is this tile down here, and this is actually another nuclear reactor tile. So what happened is, as you guys can guess, I ran out of power. If you can remember, we had an available power pool of 7 gigawatts, and we were actually exceeding the this power consumption. So I had to add more power to my base, and these nuclear reactor tiles have to be built above water because they require a lot of water. And I said I didn't want to set up water trains to come supply my base, so I agreed to just add another tile. And what I'll do to hide so that it doesn't stand out as much is I'll add another reactor tile here, and we'll have this will give me 1, 2, 3, 4 additional tiles that I'll be able to use for something else inside my base. So this is what I'll do. I'll add another reactor tile here and extend this wall down this way so that it kind of still looks like a square, even though it won't be one. But I'm okay with that. And also one other thing you can notice is I've added these T section here on the edges so that we don't have the cross section at the edges which are not being used properly. So this looks a bit cleaner on the edges, and I did so around the entire base. Now I'm not sure what I'll be doing in today's episode because I'm actually asking myself what's the next step in the process of building this base currently. And what I think I need to do is the buyers are getting really strong, and I still keep getting attacked by my outposts, and they're actually doing a lot of damage to the outposts. So what I think I'll do is extend my rail networks here outside the wall and set up additional artillery outposts in every possible corner so that we actually get more control over the map and get less attack at the outposts. Now when it comes to the artillery outposts, these guys have gotten some upgrades as well. So as you can see, currently the outposts, the 2 train stations are disabled, and that's because I added some logic to it. And I'm gonna go in a creative test world to explain what I did here exactly, because I think it's pretty smart and an interesting way to set them up. So let's hop into a creative test world and I'll show you how this works. Okay guys, so here we are in the creative test world, and as you can see we have 4 stations in front of us. Now imagine that each one of these stations is an artillery outpost. The first thing you'll notice is that they all the stations have the same name, and that is important. I'll tell you why in a minute. So these are my artillery stations, and this here is my base. Now this train would then be my artillery train. Okay, so let's have a look at its schedule. So this train is set up to go to base for resupply and then go to artillery. Now by default, if you don't have any logic set up, the train will go to the first station, right? And it will always go to the first and the closest station available. Now to remedy this so that the train goes to each station individually, what I did is set up this logic, and this is a simple set reset gate. And the way a set reset gate works is it takes two signals, signal A and signal B. And when you give the logic signal A, the latch will turn on and remain active until it receives a signal B signal. So what's happening here? I'll let this train run for a minute so you guys can see. The train is going to station 1. The latch turns on, the light turns off, and the station is disabled. So now the train goes to the next available station, which is station number 2. And the same happens, the station turns off and the train goes to station number 3. And he will do so until he reaches station number 4. By that point, the signal resets and all stations are turned on again. Okay guys, so what's happening here is that I connected my train station to my logic gate. And what that allows me to do is once the station is connected, you can actually read stop trains, and this outputs a signal T, right? And then I'm using this signal T as my set condition. Now what I also did is I have this constant combinator here connected to the same network, and it outputs a signal. Here I'm using the artillery targeting remote as my signal with a value of 1, and I have this set up at each outpost. And what this allows me to do is if I have a look here at my logistic network, I can see that I actually have 4 train stops connected to the network. And if I just go ahead and copy this train station and paste it down here, I also have to connect it to the network. Now, by looking at my network, I can see that I have now 5 artillery outposts connected. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking this signal, so how many stations are set. As you can see for the moment, at the moment there's 4 stations that are set, there's only 1 available. And if the signal S equals the amount of station that I have, then every station gets reset by this condition. So this S equals artillery targeting remote resets all the stations so that they all become available again. And the advantage of having this simple setup is that it allows me to simply copy and paste an existing station, or just add another one, or remove a station, and not have to reschedule my train. The train will always supply all available stations on my network. Okay guys, so as you can see, we are now covering more terrain with the artillery outposts, and they were quite painful to set up, not gonna lie. I actually died a couple of times building these outposts because the biters are now really strong and really hard to deal with. So at the moment, my artillery train is still resupplying at the old base. He's currently stationed here, and the old base is not building the artillery shells quite fast enough. So what I'll do now is actually design a tile to implement into my mega base that will be especially dedicated to the artillery train. So let's hop into Creative World and see what I can come up with. Alright guys, so here's the design that I've come up with, and let's have a look here. So this bad boy can actually produce about 160 artillery shells every minute, which is quite a fair amount to be honest. And also what's cool about this is that this line can hold 2 trains, so I'll add another train here on this line, and that means that we'll have 2 trains running across the map instead of just the one that we had before. The only downside to having a tile like this is that this actually requires some water because of the sulfur, which means that I'll have to build this tile close to a water source. It actually doesn't take much water, but it is a requirement for this. So let me actually head back into the main world and I'll build this tile. Alright guys, and here's the tile built in my main world, and yeah, I noticed that we are having issues with the plastic. We are not producing enough plastic at the moment, so I'll have to add another plastic tile, but I'll do this later. I just want to show you this tile, so it's the one right here in the corner. This is the one for my artillery trains. I also added the other train, and yeah, now we are actually going to be more offensive against the biters, and we'll be able to supply all those outposts with ammunition. Alright guys, so unfortunately I've run out of time for today. So in between the episode I'll be setting up even more artillery outposts, especially on this left side here. I need to add some more here and over here, and I also need to address the plastic situation. I need to add another tile, but I'm not quite sure where I'll place it because yeah, plastic also requires water, so probably add it down here, and I need to move this wall down. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this episode, and I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers!